Hello everyone, this is part 29 of What If Naruto Was Trained by Anko, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. While Naruto and the rest of the Genin and Junin sensei were enjoying a lovely meal, Susanin and a Hokage were in fierce discussion about a blonde shinobi who had influenced their lives so much. As Akatsuki would be coming for Naruto, they all agreed that his training would have to be on a whole different level. It wouldn't be enough for Naruto to just follow regular training, he needed specialized training and sparring against stronger opponents. This is why they were arguing about what to do for the young Chunin. I want to take him on a journey with me. That way he'll be off the radar and the village wouldn't have to deal with an attack so soon after the invasion, if they decide to come after him. Jiraiya argued with both Tsunade and the Sandaime. I understand what you mean, Jiraiya, but I don't think Naruto will agree with that plan. He was already hesitating to leave the village in search of Tsunade here. He would feel responsible for leaving the village in time of need. And frankly, the village could use any available shinobi at the moment. Sandaime answered. How long would you take him away, Jiraiya? Tsunade asked. She could see that both men had a point. One-on-one training with Jiraiya would help Naruto getting stronger, but she wasn't sure Naruto would agree with leaving the village as well. 3 years is all I need. In 3 years I'll make him strong enough to deal with Akatsuki. Jiraiya said with confidence. You're saying that in 3 years' time Naruto would be strong enough to deal with S-rank Nukenin? Isn't that a bit optimistic? Sandaime said, curious. He knew that Naruto was strong, but 3 years wasn't that long. Not at all. Naruto is the type who learns while doing things. On this journey I'll introduce him to my techniques and to my spy network. There's no doubt in my mind that he can do it. Jiraiya said, unsealing some sake much to Tsunade's pleasure. Wait a minute, you're intending to make Naruto your heir? Are you serious? Sandaime asked, perplexed, shocking Tsunade as well. Absolutely, there is no one better than Naruto. He's the one who will inherit my legacy as well as his dad's. Jiraiya said, filling Tsunade's and Sandaime's sake saucer. Still, 3 years is a long time to be away from the village. Tsunade said. Very well, Jiraiya, if you're sure about this, I guess the choice is up to Naruto. But let me make one thing absolutely clear. You'll be the one who'll explain all of this to Anko, because I can assure you that she won't like it. Sandaime said, smirking at the way Jiraiya's face changed from happy to absolutely terrified. He could only imagine how she would react to this plan. You can't be serious. She'll kill me for sure. Jiraiya said nervously. Good luck, Jiraiya, you'll need it. Tsunade said while laughing at Jiraiya's misfortune. When do you want to leave on this TS? Sandaime asked. Well, I want to ensure everything goes smoothly, so I'll go and check up on my contacts. So let's say I'll be back in 6 months, we'll leave after that. Jiraiya said after thinking for a while. The rest of the evening was spent with telling stories and remembering the old days while enjoying some fine sake. It had been years since teacher and students had been reunited and each of them had a lot to tell. They said the goodbyes around midnight, knowing that starting tomorrow things would change in Konoha and that they would need to be rested and ready. Of course, Tsunade had to punch Jiraiya in the face after he made a lewd remark about them spending the night together, but other than that things went great. Naruto woke up feeling very refreshed and well rested. He and Anko had returned straight home after spending the evening with their friends, wanting to spend some time together. They hadn't seen each other in weeks and both of them had missed the other greatly. Now that he was back, Naruto would be sure to spend as much time as possible with his girlfriend. Today, however, he would be very busy with team training in the morning, and after that he would have to start his Chunin duties as well. Shikamaru had told him that he had been doing troublesome things ever since he became a Chunin as well. Naruto wasn't looking forward to some of those tasks. Standing guard at the gate didn't look much fun, or filling in papers for some unimportant happening wasn't his cup of tea either. He hoped to convince the Sandaime that he needed time to prepare and train, so doing Chunin stuff would stop him from advancing fast. Sighing, he looked at Anko's sleeping face and snuggled back into her embrace, eager to get some more minutes of her feeling against his body. Anko was very comfortable lying in her bed with what she knew was her boyfriend in her arms. She loved the feeling of having him snuggle up to her in the morning. This was one of the things she missed the most when he was gone. She hated waking up alone in the morning, so when Naruto got back she was very relieved he was back where he belonged. She opened her eyes only to see Naruto staring at her with a smile on his face. "Good morning Anko-chan, I missed having you next to me the past few weeks," Naruto said softly, knowing Anko preferred waking up in silence. Anko nodded before she kissed him soundly on the lips, greeting him as well. She pulled him closer and continued kissing him and would have until late in the morning, but she knew that they had team training this morning so they had to get up. Groaning, she separated from him and sat up, pouted slightly, earning a chuckle from Naruto. He knew what she was thinking and silently he agreed as well. He wouldn't mind spending the morning in bed, but it would have to wait until next time. He got out of bed and walked to the closet and grabbed his fresh clothes before going to the bathroom. Anko watched her boyfriend parade around in nothing but his boxes and grinned. Just because they couldn't stay in bed didn't mean she couldn't have some fun in the shower. She raced after him and jumped in the shower, surprising Naruto before she grabbed him and started kissing him again. Naruto, while surprised when she jumped into the shower, didn't complain and eagerly kissed her back. After breakfast they made her way over to Kurenai's house after Anko told Naruto that she had gotten used to picking her up in the morning. When they saw Kurenai waiting outside they hurried and greeted her a good morning. Kurenai greeted them back, and while she and Anko started talking, Naruto was deep in thought about training and the jutsu he was developing for several weeks now. He had made some great progress, but it still wasn't to the point that Naruto wanted. If he could pull this off he would have a jutsu capable of rivaling the Rasengan. He was giddy at the thought of having such a jutsu and couldn't wait to see it in action. His thoughts were interrupted when they arrived at the training grounds and seeing the rest of the gang waiting for them. Surprisingly, even Kakashi was on time, but that could have been because they had told him to meet several hours earlier than the normal hour. This seemed to be the only way to get him to be on time. Now that you're here we can start," Kakashi said from behind his orange book. He seemed not to notice the king intent Anko and Kurenai send his for reading such a book in front of them. That or he ignored it completely. "Alright, like we said last night, each of us will take care of one field of training. Training will start with physical exercise with Guy, then we'll have one group with Kurenai for genjutsu and the other group with Kakashi for ninjutsu training. After switching between groups we'll have sparring matches between all of you to finish morning training. The afternoon training will be individual training if there aren't missions to complete," Asuma said. "Yosh. I'll make sure all of our students will be full of youthfullness. If I can't fullfill that promise, I'll run 1,000 laps around Konoha on my hands," Guy exclaimed loudly. Lee fully agreed that he would help his friends with their youthfulness even though he couldn't participate right now before he and Guy went off on another one of the crazy rants. After Anko had thrown several kunai at them they had calmed down enough to start the exercises. 3 hours later 10 Genin and 2 Chunin crashed down on the ground after a grueling training session with Guy. He had them run laps, sit-ups, push-ups, squats and every other exercise he could remember. Even Naruto, who had more stamina than all the rest, was feeling exhausted. He was sure his muscles would hurt tomorrow and wasn't looking forward to the exercises the next day. But he knew that Guy was an expert on these kind of things and it would help him get stronger. The others as well were feeling the burn of their muscles after such a hard training, but none of them really complained. They knew what was on stake and knew that they would benefit greatly from Guy's crazy training. Kurenai then took half of them with her so she could start on her lecture and teaching of genjutsu. None of the genin really had any genjutsu in their repertoire, so she could start from the very beginning, which was fine by her. She preferred starting from zero as that would allow her to use her own methods of teaching. She had never liked how the academy seemed to teach genjutsu. Most genin thought that genjutsu was just some fancy art especially used by women. Kurenai disagreed greatly with this. To her, genjutsu was more than some fancy illusion used to distract an enemy. Genjutsu was about manipulating and bending reality so she could lure her opponent into her trap. It took a lot of effort and expertise to perfectly create a genjutsu that could trap an enemy. That's the reason why not many people are capable of becoming a true genjutsu user like she was. The rest of gang stayed with Kakashi, who would show them some jutsu and then they could practice it until they mastered it. After thinking for a while, Kakashi decided to teach them the Shunshin no Jutsu, knowing that this was a very useful jutsu to know. That, and he wasn't willing to start with an offense jutsu straight from the start. When Naruto said he had already mastered that jutsu, Kakashi asked him if he could help him to show it to the other and help when necessary. Naruto nodded and started to help Kiba out, who seemed to have trouble using the jutsu. A few minutes later, Kakashi went over to Naruto wanting to ask him some questions. "Hey Naruto, you have a minute?" Kakashi asked. "Sure thing, Kakashi-sensei, what do you need?" Naruto said, smiling. He liked Kakashi. The man was laid back and somewhat lazy, but Naruto could see just how scared the man truly was. And after Kakashi had told him some stories about his time with his father, Naruto considered the man a friend. "I was wondering if you would be willing to teach me that Kaiten jutsu of yours. The one you used during the preliminaries of the Chunin exam." Kakashi asked, wondering. "You mean the Kaiten Bakuhatsu Nenchaku Hotaru no Jutsu?" Naruto said, thinking back at that fight. "Yeah, that one. I'd understand if you rather not teach it to anyone." Kakashi said, nodding. "No, I don't mind as long as you don't copy it without asking. As a matter of fact, why don't I teach it to everyone?" Naruto said, smiling. "If you're willing to teach them your jutsu, then I wouldn't dream of stopping you. In return, I'll teach you some of my more advanced jutsu." Kakashi answered. "You've got yourself a deal, Kakashi-sensei," Naruto said before he left to help out Sakura. Kakashi smiled and left to inform the other Junin sensei that Naruto was willing to teach them some of his personal jutsu. Anko and Kurenai weren't surprised since they knew that Naruto was that kind of guy, but Asuma and Guy were a little surprised. After all, teaching a jutsu that you've made yourself was something not a lot of shinobi did. Anko explained that Naruto didn't have a problem with people knowing some of his jutsu as long as they worked hard for it. If Kakashi had just copied it without asking, Naruto would be less friendly about it. Kakashi then assured them that he wouldn't do such a thing to a fellow shinobi, and especially not to the son of the man he respected so much. Anko then said that Kakashi wasn't the only Sharingan user and that Naruto wouldn't allow Sasuke to copy jutsu from him or anybody else for that matter. Kakashi nodded and said that he would talk to Sasuke when he got released from the hospital in a few days. They ended the team training for that day and the teams split up, promising to meet each other later that day to go and visit Sasuke in the hospital. Opinions were different on the last member of the group, but after talking a bit about it, most of them had decided to give the boy another chance. If he wasn't willing to adapt and socialize, then they wouldn't have to feel guilty about it if he didn't fit in the group. At least they would have given him a chance, which was probably more than he would be willing to do for them. Still, Naruto's words from the day before lingered in their minds, which is why they would have to see what would happen, though none of them were truly optimistic about it. Naruto, teammate, and the two Junin sensei went off to the usual training place to continue the daily training as a team. The three genin, a dog and a chunin, were still pretty exhausted from the morning training, but none of them dared to complain. They had been given a chance to prove themselves worthy of Konoha and none of them wanted to disappoint. Together they would go all the way and come out on top of this challenge. Once at the training field, Naruto was asked by Hinata to help her with her taijutsu training, while Kiba and Shino agreed to another spar together. Naruto happily agreed to help Hinata as he was curious to see just how much she had improved while he was gone. Naruto and Hinata were both taking their stance, patiently waiting for the other to attack first. Naruto caved in first and shot forward, trying to catch Hinata off guard with a punch. Hinata, who had expected that Naruto would make the first move, calmly blocked the punch and tried to hit several of his tenketsu and pressure points, but before she could make her move, she had to duck under follow-up punch from her opponent. Not wanting to back up now, Hinata pressed forward, aiming a Yukin-induced punch at Naruto's stomach, only to miss him by a mere inch as Naruto had twisted his body to the right. Naruto grabbed her wrist, only to twist it, effectively holding her in her arm lock, but he hadn't counted on Hinata's flexibility and he felt the slight touch of Hinata's fingers hit him in the upper part of his other arm. Immediately Naruto felt an immense pain, forcing him to let go of Hinata, who didn't lose a second before continuing her attack. Naruto winced at the pain in his arm before backing up, trying to evade and block the incoming attack. Backing up a little, he relaxed when he felt the pain in his arm disappear, allowing him to freely use it again. He saw that Hinata was about to launch another attack and he grinned slightly. Though Hinata had improved greatly with her new style, she was still not fully used to it and she needed more experience as well, giving him an advantage over her. His own style, while completely different, had been completed and Naruto was comfortable using it, and that would make all the difference in this fight. One other thing that Naruto had was a high tolerance of pain thanks to Anko's training in the forest all those months ago. Even if Hinata hit some of his pressure points, as long as the pain was tolerable he would be capable of blocking or grabbing her. And this was exactly what he was planning to do. He easily evaded the first few punches and blocked a few others before Hinata got a hit or two. To her surprise, however, Naruto didn't seem to notice or feel anything and he grabbed both of her arms before pulling her close and planting his knee in her stomach, effectively ending the match as she was unable to get up from the attack. Naruto sat next to her, rubbing her back, trying to help her deal with the pain. When she regained her breath he stopped and got up, standing in front of her. "Hinata-chan, that was great. You've surprised me several times during the fight. Well done," Naruto said, honestly impressed with the girl's progress. "But you still beat me so easily. I trained so hard and I still lose most of my fights," Hinata said softly, visibly disappointed with her performance. "Don't be like that, Hinata-chan, you did great. The only reason why I beat you is that you're still developing your style and it's still foreign to you. Once you get fully used to it you'll be able to use it its full power," Naruto said, placing his hand on her shoulder. "Another thing is that your style only uses the hands. This makes it easy to predict the attacks. If your hands get incapacitated you lose the advantage. Maybe you should incorporate some kicks as well." "Naruto is right, Hinata. Your style is still far from completed, so you still have time to adjust it where necessary. Just work on getting used to using it and things will work out," Kurenai said supportively. The rest of the training was used for another spar and some taijutsu training until they received some unexpected visitors on the training ground. While the kids were training, Jiraiya, Tsunade and the Sandaime had arrived as they were checking up on the teams. Tsunade also wanted to reassure everybody that Lee was going to be okay after a few operations but would be unable to join them until he was fully healed. Naruto and the rest were happy to hear the good news and chuckled when Tsunade complained about her headache after informing Guy and Lee. Everyone in Konoha knew about loud and enthusiastic nature. "Yes, well, the reason we came to see you is that Jiraiya here has some business with Anko and you," Sandaime said to Naruto. Jiraiya gulped at the thought of informing Anko of his plan to take Naruto out of the village for a whole 3 years. "Sure. What's up, Ero-senin?" Naruto said, earning a glare from Jiraiya and a grin from Tsunade. "I think we'd better discuss this in private, Gaki," Jiraiya said while giving the rest of the team an apologetic look. "That's okay, Ero-senin. I trust them with my life and I'm going to tell them anyway if I'm allowed," Naruto said, shrugging. "If you're sure, Naruto," Jiraiya said hesitantly. Inwardly he thought this to be a good thing as Kurenai could help restrain Anko from killing him on the spot. "Like we agreed before we left in search of Tsunade here, we'll make your apprenticeship official in the coming days. Unfortunately, my duties to Konoha require me to travel in order to keep up with my spy network, meaning that I can't train you properly." The genin from Team 8 were shocked that one of the Sannin would personally train Naruto. They always knew Naruto would go far, but to be trained by one of the legendary Sannin was nothing short of amazing. Still, they wondered why Naruto had been chosen to get such an honor but refrained from saying anything at the moment. They were sure Naruto would explain later on if he was allowed to talk about it. Kurenai, who had been told by Anko about this, wasn't surprised by the news, but she felt very proud of her students at the moment. Sure, they had grown a great deal since she started to teach them, but jealousy and envy were human emotions, but she was glad that none of her team seemed to have these feelings when they heard the news. She wondered how the other genin would react to this news and couldn't help but imagine a certain Uchiha reacting badly. "So what's the plan then, Ero-senin?" Naruto asked, confused. "I'll be gone for the next 6 months, but I'll leave you with a training schedule and enough material to keep you busy until my return. When I return, however, I want to start your full training with me, and trust me when I say that I won't go easy on you, Gaki," Jiraiya said, grinning. Naruto wasn't intimidated, however, and grinned right back with a smirk that clearly said, "Give it your best shot. So in 6 months you'll be back and then we'll start training together." "Sounds fine with me, Ero-senin," Naruto said happily. Jiraiya, You need to tell the whole story, otherwise I'll do it for you and you won't like the results. Tsunade threatened. Jiraiya seemed to shrink under her glare and started sweating. You Naruto, I seems to have forgotten a small detail. Jiraiya said, laughing nervously. You see, I can't stay in the village for a long period of time, so I would like to take you on a training TS. Jiraiya was already glancing at Anko, who seemed to become very interested in the conversation. She didn't like where this was going. She could tell something wasn't right as she saw Jiraiya flinch when she looked at him. A training TS. I guess a few weeks away from the village wouldn't be that bad. Naruto shrugged. Ah no, that's not what I mean. It would be a little bit longer. Jiraiya said, trying to stall some time before receiving the beating of a lifetime. Tsunade, however, was looking forward to seeing the L beaten to an inch of his life and decided to interfere a bit. What the L is trying to say is that he wants to take you on a 3-year training trip outside of Konoha. Tsunade said, almost laughing loudly at seeing Jiraiya's face lose all color, turning as white as snow. The Sandaime too couldn't help but let out a small chuckle seeing the horror on his student's face. Though he did take a few steps back from Jiraiya so he wouldn't get caught in the crossfire. 3 years. You want me to leave Konoha for 3 years? Are you crazy, Ero Sennin? Naruto shouted. If you think that I'm going to let you take Naruto-kun with you, then think again, you damn L. Anko shouted at the same time. Now the rest of the team had taken the distance as well, following the Sandaime's example. Tsunade was having the time of her life watching Jiraiya, who was trying to hide behind the Sandaime only to be pushed back in front of Anko and Naruto. Why can't we train in Konoha? I mean, why do we need to leave? Naruto demanded to know. You better have a really good explanation for this, or else I'm going to enjoy testing my new kunai on you. Anko yelled as well. Now Anko and Naruto, at least give Jiraiya the chance to explain his reasoning for wanting to take Naruto out of the village. Sandaime said, trying to calm everyone down so they could talk like adults. Kurenai as well was trying to calm Anko down while Kiba, Shino and Hinata were taking care of Naruto. It took them a few minutes, but they had finally calmed down enough to hear Jiraiya out. Now, Jiraiya, why don't you start from the beginning? Sandaime said, still smiling a bit. Well, it's simple really. Naruto, you're one of Akatsuki's targets, you know this. While, for the rest of the genin, training with their Junin sensei might be enough for now, you need to be on a whole other level. That's why I decided to make you my successor. Jiraiya said, gulping when he saw Anko motioning to continue. But in order to do that I need time. It would take about 3 years for me to teach you my techniques. I can't do that when we're in the village, as you would have to do missions and other training as well. One other reason is that I want to keep your whereabouts hidden from Akatsuki as well. Wait, I thought Hokage-sama said that Akatsuki's goals were unknown, but you just said that Naruto is one of their targets. What do you mean by that? Kiba asked curiously. Hinata and Shino nodded, showing that they too wanted to know why Naruto was one of their targets. We don't know their ultimate goal, but we do know that they are after people like Naruto. People with a Bayou sealed inside them, however we don't know what they are planning to do with the Bayou. Sandaime said, sighing. He had wanted to keep that part of the information hidden a little longer, but figured that they would have found out sooner or later. You have to understand, Naruto, that you're facing an enormously powerful enemy. These are S-ranked Nukenin we're talking about. Normal training won't cut it. Your teammates will be there to help you, but to be absolutely sure you'll need to be stronger than everyone. You'll need to be strong enough to deal with such adversaries on your own. Jiraiya sighed. He understood Naruto's feelings about not wanting to leave the village and his loved ones for so long, but he really thought this was the only way to ensure his survival. Can you guarantee that Naruto will be strong enough to defeat them after those 3 years? Anko said softly. She had been listening to Jiraiya's explanation, and no matter how much she hated it, she had to agree that what he said made sense. Anko-chan, you can't be serious. Naruto said, shocked that she would even consider Jiraiya's idea. Naruto-kun, don't get me wrong, I don't want you to leave Konoha and me. As a matter of fact, I would hate it if you left for so long, but you have to agree that what El says makes sense. Anko said before hugging him. Akatsuki won't hold back any punches, and you need to be as strong as possible to defeat them. They won't stop at nothing to get their hands on you, and the only way to win is to get stronger. But, Naruto said, trying to protest. Naruto, I understand your feelings, but sometimes we have to do what is best for everyone instead of what we want. That's the duty of the Hokage. Sandaime said solemnly. Training with Jiraiya will make you strong enough to protect your precious people and the village from the threat the Akatsuki represents. Who knows what would happen if they gathered all of the Bayou? I know Ji-chan, but what about everyone here? What about the village? I can't just abandon everyone so I could leave on a training mission. Naruto sighed. Now you're just overreacting, Naruto-kun. Hinata said softly, blushing slightly when everyone turned to her. I mean, none of us would think that you would be abandoning anyone. On the contrary, you would be sacrificing a bit of your own happiness to ensure the survival of the village. Hinata's right, Kiba said. You would be performing your duty to the village to get stronger, just like we will with our training. Like Hinata and Kiba said, none of us would think you're abandoning us. Shino said, backing his teammates up as well. Naruto-kun, I think you should go on this training TS. Anko said softly. It's the only way to ensure you'll get strong enough. 3 years is a very long time and I'll miss you terribly, but if that's the I gave to make to be able to grow old with you, then I'll gladly pay it. She then kissed him gently, letting him know that she hated the idea of him leaving, but she did think that it was the best course of action for now. Naruto held her tightly in his arms, wishing that things were differently, but knew that she was right. When he pulled back from her kiss, he smiled at her before nodding. Fine, Ero-senin, if you think that's what it'll take to deal with those bastards, then I guess I've got no choice. Naruto said, looking at him. Very well, Gaki, prepare for one hell of a training TS. I'll be back in 6 months and then we'll start. Jiraiya said, relieved that he had lived through this conversation. He truly had expected Anko to go ballistic, but in the end things had worked out pretty well. At least that was what he thought, until he felt the unmistakable feeling of a kunai pressed against his most precious possession. He turned his head slowly, only to stare straight into Anko's eyes. He winced when he heard her whisper something in his ear. Get one thing straight, L. If my Naruto-kun comes back as AL or without visual improvement, I'll do every woman on this earth a favor by neutering you on the spot. Do I make myself clear? Anko threatened. Perfectly and crystal clear. Jiraiya squeaked loudly, making everyone laugh at his panicked voice. Jiraiya relaxed after she removed the kunai from between his legs and told Naruto that he would meet up with him the next day to give him his training schedule for the next 6 months. Naruto asked if he was allowed to continue training with the rest of the group as well, which Jiraiya didn't mind as long as he got his own work done as well. Jiraiya then left the group to do some research to ease his nerves after being threatened to be neutered by Anko. Of course, when he voiced this out loud, Tsunade just punched his lights out, sending him flying through the air. Sandaime shook his head, muttering something that sounded like, still behaving like children, before he too said his goodbyes for the day. Tsunade-sama, could I speak to you for a few minutes? Hinata asked, taking a step forward. She remembered what Naruto had said about Tsunade's Medic Nin project, and this was a good chance to talk to her about it. You're Hyuga Hinata, right? Tsunade asked, earning a nod from Hinata. What can I do for you? Naruto-kun told me that you would like to start a program to train Medic Nin, so I would like to join if possible. Hinata said nervously. You want to be a Medic Nin? Tsunade asked, interested. Hi, and I'm not the only one. 2 of my friends, Sakura-chan and Ino-chan, want to join as well. Hinata said with confidence, as she wanted to make a good impression. Tsunade was slightly shocked to hear that she already had found 3 people who wanted to become Medic Nin. She hadn't even talked about it with Shizune or Sandaime yet. Here was a girl and 2 of her friends who were eager to start learning. She could see it in the girl's eyes that she was serious about being a Medic Nin, and it pleased her greatly. Meet me at the Hokage's office tomorrow at 9 and we'll discuss your training then. Bring your 2 friends as well. Tsunade said while starting to leave. Hinata couldn't believe what she just heard. Tsunade had practically accepted the 3 of them as her students. Hinata couldn't help but feel immensely proud of herself, and a huge smile appeared on her face. Before she had time to fully register what just happened, her teammates and senseis came over and congratulated her over and over again. Kurenai told her that since training was over for the day, she should go inform both Sakura and Ino. Hinata smiled and nodded before racing off in search of her friends. Man, first Naruto and now Hinata as well. Catching up to you just became a lot harder. Kiba said, looking at Naruto. Oh, don't worry, Kiba, me and the rest of the Junin sensei will take good care of you. Anko said while grinning at him. Anko-chan is right, Kiba, you'll become stronger as well since you'll be training with 5 Junin senseis. Naruto said, clapping Kiba on the shoulder. Kiba cheered up after that and nodded. They were right after all, each Junin sensei had a lot to teach and they would become a lot stronger with their help. On top of that, he still had training with his clan where he would learn a lot more techniques and jutsu as well. His thoughts were interrupted when Naruto's stomach declared to everyone that it needed food, much to Naruto's embarrassment. Laughing, they all set off to have something to eat. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.